Star Wars Battlefront is filled with lots of classic vehicles for each faction, some ranging from game warping insane that are just crazy for your team, and to others that are so much fun to control and use that it makes playing the game an absolute blast to use and really makes you feel like you are in the Star Wars universe. So today guys, we're going to rank each vehicle from worst to best in Star Wars Battlefront 2004. We will not be including the Tantan and the Kadu as they're both organic beans, but if we did, just for simplicity's sake, for the people that are going to say why don't you rank it, they're going to be ranked right at the bottom because they absolutely suck. Alright, let's get into it guys. Right at the bottom it's quite a simple one. It would be the worst vehicle in Battlefront, which would have to be the Bestman Car. Only found on Bestman platforms, of course. Although, it is very hard to get, and it looks cool. It controls absolutely horribly, has extremely weak weapons. The co-pilot is basically useless. It will get you killed more often than you kill your enemies. This thing is just awful. Number 23 is the Sandscape, only seen on the GOAT Tatooine Dune Sea. This thing sucks. The blasters are just awful. And most of the time, you would get killed because you have like no protection in this thing for you or any of your guys. The driver doesn't have a weapon, which I can understand. You got 3 blasters, ooh, right? But each blaster is only facing one direction. So the chance you get a kill is 0 to none. And the best thing it's used for is just exporting your guys to command posts, pretty much, right? Everyone's very vulnerable in this stupid thing. The starter can even pick you up. Like, what the hell is that? What a piece of shit. Number 22 is the Clone Speeder, or the actual name, the Bark Speeder. This thing has the benefits of the other speeder, but the blasters just suck. They just feel so inaccurate, and I feel like most of the time it misses for some reason, and it actually hits my enemies, right? It's good for running people over, I guess, but most of the time you'll die because everything you touch kills you pretty much, except for enemies, right? You touch a tiny little rock, you die. And plus you see mines, or you don't see mines, but if there's mines, you run them over, you don't see them. Most of the time you won't because you're going so fast, you're going to get killed. This thing's just horrible. Number 21 is the Snow Speeder, only seen on Hop. Yes, the ship is good at taking out the ATSTs, but that's all it's good for. And that's if you know how to get it to stick, for one. And two, if you have a good enough pilot who can, turn you around the thing and get it caught up. Most of the time, I can't even get the freaking thing to stick. First of all, I feel like there's an art in that and doing that. It's just impossible. And like the blasters, they just suck. They can't kill ground troops, whatever. They do no damage to the walkers. Just like in the movie, I guess. And it's just, they just suck, man. They're good for the best thing they're used for is for kamikaze runs, let's be honest. Number 20 would be the normal speeders, or the 74Z speeder as it's called. These have the same issues as the clone speeders, but the biggest thing that they have over them is that they have a good blaster, unlike the ones that the clones got. I guess the Empire and the Rebels and whatever else got one thing that's better than the other. Number 19 is the Spider Walkers. I cannot stand these things. They are just awful. They're probably my least favorite vehicle in all of Star Wars Battlefront. They're just horrendous. Calling them a walker, just a joke, right? The one good thing that they're good at is like taking out vehicles. They do a good amount of damage to them and take out the command posts that clones have on Geonosis, and that's like all they're good for. The movement sucks. They're slow, their range sucks, their rate of fire sucks. Everything sucks about them, actually. To be honest with you, they even don't have that much health to them. You feel like you get in it, you just die. You just suck. Number 18 is the Geonosian Starfighter. This thing is fun to fly around in, but it's just so weak and fragile that it really struggles in comparison to any other starfighter. And I mean, you're not fighting against other starfighters in this one, technically, because most of the time you're not really fighting a clone gunship because they're just too fast for them on Geonosis, right? But like still, though, they barely do any damage to those. They can have a hard time taking out ground troops. If you steal as a clone, they're not even good for taking out Techno Union ships, for example, right? So they're not bad, but that's kind of the thing they're best at, is just flying around having some fun. Number 17 is the Ywing. It should be better than it is, but it ends up right in here, probably being the worst starfighter in Battlefront, next to the Geonosian one. And again, Geonosian one's only on one map, so it's really hard to judge. But this one is just crap. The guns, they do not work as good as they should. They look like they have big radius, but it just feels like they do not. It feels like the range just stops on them when you're shooting them. And the bombs are just atrocious most of the time because you just don't know where you are, right? You can't really, I mean, you can aim them, but it's like they're better being in a passenger, the bombs, for example. And the co-gunner is just horrendous. It's just a garbage ship all around. Number 16 is the TIE Fighter. The TIE Fighter is as bad as it looks. The main blaster has very little spread and is damaged, making it almost useless for taking out ground infantry. And the fact that it does not have a bomb really makes this thing worse than it has to be. The standard assault fighter and the acceleration is just awful, probably the worst out of all the standard fighters. it is not controlled as good as the other ones in this game. Crap. Number 15 may shock you, but it is the Hailfire Droid from Geonosis. How this thing got so high is just a friggin' miracle, let's be honest. But like in Battlefront 1, this thing isn't that bad compared to how it's in Battlefront 2. It's atrocious in Battlefront 2. It's not what we're talking about. In Battlefront 1, it's okay. A little bit better than that in this game. It still has absolutely atrocious movement, but it's good at taking out the clone command post and as well taking out the walkers on this map. And in the normal blaster, like with the missiles, for example, the missiles are good at that. But taking out infantry with the normal missiles, oh my god, good luck to you. Those missiles, like, they're good at locking on. When they don't lock on, they have a friggin' mind of their own. They're like an RPG in God. They just go everywhere. They're just absolutely horrendous. The main blasters are fine, good for taking out infantry, but it controls just so poorly that you're probably not going to get any kills. You're going to take out the command post, and then you're going to call it there with this thing. Number 14 is the STAP, or the STAP. Finally, we're getting some good vehicles. The STAP is actually very good. I really like this thing, I'm not going to lie. The weapons on it deal a powerful punch for taking out ground troops, and the movement is fast enough as to where it is good at getting behind enemy lines or taking over command posts. Right? It's not as fast as a speeder, but it does its job just fine because the blasters are just so powerful. You're a little bit open on this thing. It's kind of the biggest downfall when it comes to it overall, but I just like it overall. It's really good. It doesn't have a lot of health to it, but it's a speeder once again, right? So there you go. Number 13 is the Luke Skywalker Special, the XWing. The XWing is a very fun and powerful ship. It has good control and is fun to use. The weapons, however, they do overheat fairly quickly, but they are good in almost any situation though. They're very good for dogfights. What I like using them for is we're using them against ground vehicles. Really good for that, and just a fun vehicle. I love it. Number 12 is the TIE Bomber. The TIE Bomber is somehow better than the TIE Fighter in almost every way. How? I don't know. But the shot's more powerful and accurate with bigger splash radius. It has a lock-on bomb and a secondary seat that can be used very effectively if you know what you are doing. No wonder why Darth Vader prefers this, man. Number 11 is the ATST. It is very good at taking out ground units and has a fast movement, a good radius, and powerful blasters that don't overheat too quickly. Although it does get outclassed by other tanks when up against them, it still makes for a great crowd control vehicle. Number 10 is the ATGE, or the Clone Walker. It is a very powerful walker. The struts are extremely strong, don't overheat too quickly, although it doesn't have a very good radius is the biggest problem that this thing really has, aside and the fact that it can get a little bit overwhelmed because the CIS does have those wrist rockets. That's why I gotta watch those wrist rockets. So when you're having wrist rockets, and sticky grenades all coming at once, it can be a little bit annoying, but for the most part this thing is pretty good. It takes a while for it to get killed. A lot of damage can be put out to it, good splash damage and all that. I wish it was a little bit taller so that we can get a little bit more damage in on the droids, but you know what, I love it overall. Number 9 is the AT-AT. It probably has the strongest shots in the entire game, and being so tall means that it has a great radius and great range with a ton of health. Because obviously, you know, it's a big ass walker. And the two maps that has it on make sure that it will make quick work of any troops in front of you. And the only reason it is not higher on this list is that it can be bombarded if the enemy knows what they are doing. For example, if they use the rebel tanks on it, on Renvar, or maybe even if they have the snow speeders and know how to wrap around it, you can be taken out pretty quick. Number 8 is the Republic Starfighter, or as I like to call it, the Jedi Starfighter. The Jedi Starfighter is very quick, has a powerful shots and strong missiles that make quick work of any droids in front of you. Although it is very weak and sometimes the shots are inaccurate, the speed of the Starfighter more than makes up for it. Number 7 is the LAAT gunship, or the Clone Gunship. It is a very powerful ship because of the ability to hover when using it, which is just crazy. It can be used very effectively because of that, and plus having, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shots or whatever with the missiles and everything else just makes this thing crazy good, and you even have the passenger seat. How can you go wrong with that? Number 6 is the Clone IFX Tank. The IFX Tank is a very powerful blaster that rotates between right and left for each shot, as well as missiles that do the same thing, and you have a guy up top, although vulnerable, has a very powerful laser that has a pretty quick cooldown that can be very effective when you have two people inside of it and use correct. Number 5 is the Empire IFTX tank because it looks better. Number 4 is the Rebel Combat Land Speeder. The Rebel's tank is crazy. It has powerful lasers, blasters that make quick work of ground units and are very deadly towards other vehicles, and is very fast as well. Meanwhile, the secondary gun is also extremely effective, mostly at taking out ground units, but can be used effectively against vehicles as well. Number 3 is the Droid Starfire. The Droid Starfire is very powerful with quick maneuverability and deadly lasers that can take care of a clone command ship with just one round of shots. This thing is just insane. and most of those shots stay on target 90% of the time. They're very accurate, as well as this ship having extremely fast speed. You can go in, take out a ship, speed the heck out, and there you go. This thing's insane. Number 2 is the Droid Assault Fighter, or as I like to call it, the flying tank. This thing is crazy because of the fact it can hover. It has great damage with the main pilot's guns, as well as the assistant pilot, the co-pilot as you would call it. And then the third gun, which can rotate in a 360-degree angle, is just insane. You can put this thing in position where an enemy's command post is or a big battlefield is, and just clear it right out. Such a good vehicle. Great maneuverability for what it is. It's a little bit lacking in the speed though, so it can't get away from a start fight the best, but just taking out ground units just absolutely game changing. Number 1 is the AAT, the droid tank seen on Theed in episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This tank is the best tank in the game and the best vehicle in the game. It has a ton of health, does a ton of damage, a nasty blaster that just has a huge radius, and the pilot has just as good movement as the rebel tank. And the secondary blaster just icing on top of the cake. If you're going to put an engineer in this thing, you're not gonna die for pretty much the entire match. You're gonna wreck your opponent because of how insanely powerful it is. And it's just crazy. Such a good thing. Such a good tank. Such good maneuverability. Looks cool. Sounds cool. Just awesome. So that's the list there, guys. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe as well, and let me know how wrong I am, and let me know what you think is the best vehicles in this game and how wrong I am as well, like I said, because if I am wrong, you gotta let me know. Alright guys, so I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. It's your boy Brud. See you there. Bye guys.